So this is the Major Craft Tide Rift Travel Seabass Rod, 9 foot, 7 to 35 gram, 4 piece. Good quality rods. I own a Major Craft myself. They're very nice, very pleasant to use. Sort of mid-range sort of budget, good quality. They're not invincible, so you need to sort of look after them. But yeah, 4-piece travel rod, designed for the European bass angler. You can catch other fish on it as well, obviously, mackerel and your sea trout and things like that. Yeah, so it's compact and built on 1G blanks and offers high performance at affordable, well, an affordable-ish price for $190. Right, the Snowbee Deep Blue Spinning 4-piece travel rod, 8 foot, 10 to 30 gram, 150 quid. Nice company Snowbee, do some good rods. So you can get this model in 8 foot, 10 to 30 gram, get it in 9 foot, 10 to 30 gram. The rod weight for both of those particular models is 164 grams, so it's nice and light. About 150, 160 quid, something like that. And they also do a 20 to 50 gram model, just a few grams heavier and about 10 and more, something like that. And yeah, just for slightly heavier lures. So design was sort of the latest thinking in rod design, to bring a new range of lure spinning rods at a cutting edge. So it's been rigorously tested and stuff like that. Snowbee always do some, pretty good stuff. So it's lightweight, stainless steel guides, chrome finish. It's got high-tech 4-piece blank, making transporting easier. It's got nice action. Nice grades of carbon throughout the blank, and yeah, deep blue colour, nice whippings and nice looking rod. And I'm not sure if it comes with a travel case. That's the only thing I would say with it. But all in all, that is quite a good rod. So this is the Abu Garcia Salmo Seeker 4-piece travel rod. Get a nice case with it. 130 quid for 9 foot, 12 to 28 gram. It's obviously designed for the travelling angler in mind. Built on stunning crisp blanks, 30-ton graphite. LS guides, AA cork handles. Protective tube. Yeah, I don't think they set the world alight, but from Abu you get like a certain sort of level of quality which is totally acceptable. Can handle any sort of fish. I mean, they're not invincible, what can I say about it? Nice cork handle. So you just, that if you brought it, you'd be reasonably satisfied with it. I believe. I've had Abu in the past. I've still got an Abu spinning rods. They've been going for years, and you get a reasonable sort of level of quality control, and quite fun to use without busting the bank. Saying that, this is 130 quid. You could argue, if you just push the boat out a little bit more, you could go to like a Major Craft where there's a little bit more finesse and quality. And fishability with the rod, just for a few extra pounds more. That's the only consideration I would have with it, but I wouldn't turn my nose up at it. Very good rods. So this is the Daiwa Saltist travel rod. I picked the 8 foot, 14 to 42 grams. Sometimes a 9 foot feels a little bit too long. I've had good success on a 7 foot rod. Just depends where you're fishing from. If you're fishing from rocks, a shorter rod's probably better for casting, so you don't hit the rocks and things like that, or overhanging rocks. So you want a short rod as possible. If you're fishing off a beach, maybe sort of the 8, 9, 10 foot rod would be fine. This one's in 5 sections. Not a fan of the more sections because it's more sections you've got to put on, but also I would say that the rod is not so strong. However, I may be totally wrong. Daiwa Saltist, this is a more of a top end Daiwa travel rod. Fiji reel seat, £226. They do a 28 to 84 gram, even shorter one than that. So that's more of a boat rod, I would say, in travel. So that's an interesting rod. And they do an 8 foot 6 inches, 80 to 140 gram, which is more of a boat lure rod. But they do the 14 to 42 and the 7 foot, like the 8 foot, for your travel bass fishing, that sort of stuff. So this is a high volume fibre carbon blank, Fuji rings. It's got a tubular reel seat screwed Fuji. It's got EVA handle. It's got plenty of tip action with great power reserve. Yeah, it's got a rigid carrier case, and it's well balanced for a 4,000 size reel. Some of the heavier versions suit a 5,000 to 6,500 sort of reel. Yeah, I mean a 2,500 3,000 reel would be good with it. I would say. Yeah, as with Daiwa, super quality. Westin W4 Spin Rod, 2nd generation, 4-piece, £190, 9 foot, 7 to 30 gram. Nice rods, the Westin. Use this for your freshwater fishing as well as your bass. For the old perch, would I go with this? Sea trout, you name it. So the reel seat is a Fuji one, which is always a good sign. The guide's a Sea Guide, which are good quality. The blank is Toray, which has been about for a while. Premium grade cork handle, D-ring hook keeper, which is always good. It's got fish measurement marks on the blank. That's great. That's okay. If your rod didn't have that, you could just make a mental note of where you saw the snout of the fish or the tail of the fish on the length of the rod, and when you got home you can actually sort of use a tape measure to get a rough idea of how big that fish actually was. But anyway, Westin, full of innovative sort of stuff. They've actually put that actually on the rod, so that would be quite interesting. Reinforced 1K woven carbon. Like I say, all these rods, they're not invincible, they're breakable, but they are sort of pretty tough and designed for you to last years and years, basically. Anyway, this particular brand, they do a 10 foot in 7 to 30. You can have it in the 9 foot in 7 to 30, and we've got here about £190. And if you want to go a foot longer, 200 quid, extra tenner. 10 foot, the longer the rod, I suppose for distance, it's going to be a little bit better. You might get a bit more out of it. However, if you're fishing where you've got trees overhead or you've got rocks behind you when you're trying to fish, you always want to try and go for the shortest rod as possible. Just depends what you're going to use it for and where you're going to go. But if you're not sure where you're going to go, you always just go with the medium of the range, 8, 9 foot, something like that. But yeah, some nice rods there.